Hello.
Hey there.
My name's Dan Galpin, and this is
Kim.
And we're here for another episode of the Friday Games Review. Also producing for us is Ian Lewis.
That's Ian Nee Lewis.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I had it legally changed. My wife is going to kill you.
That's if she's watching, right?
You've heard that.
My wife always watches this show.
Exactly.
So Co, how about a beer? I don't think we're going to give one to Dan.
I always want a beer. I was just in Germany last week.
Nice.
Let's continue.
Is that how you got tan? You know, usually that's not how it's supposed to happen.
Actually, it was very warm in Germany.
Yeah.
Today's beer is the Widmer Brothers Imperial Stout, Raspberry Imperial Stout. We've been on kind of a Widmer Brothers kick here because we used to think of them as just a bland corporate, like Samuel Adams alike. And lately they've been doing some really cool experimental beers. So we're having their Raspberry Russian Imperial Stout. It's a really strong beer. It's got just a hint of raspberries in it. We'll see how these guys can tolerate it. If we have to carry one of them out during the show, I'll just go ahead and step in. Back to you, Dan.
Good to know you're here for us.
Right.
So today I'm wearing the hard hat as we're looking at brain and puzzle games. I don't know why that really actually makes any sense, but we got an exciting list of games for you. Some of them we really, really love this week. I just wanted to say that there's some that we played more than we might play of some of these other games. These are really addicting puzzlers, so warning to anyone out there, if you actually start playing these games, expect to lose a lot of free time. And we also have some games that I think have some interesting technical issues, so we'll try to talk through those as well as the ones we really, really liked. And as always, these games were nominated by you out there in the audience on our moderator page. So continue to nominate, and we will continue to look at them.
Yeah, for sure. Any more ways to make me pass my commute from San Francisco to Mountain View? So
Exactly. We're here to help fill in that gap in those long hours. So, which game we want to look at first? I think that. So I have them in this order. I don't know. Does this make sense?
Yeah, we can start with all the word games first. So.
All right. So we're going to start off with Word Push, and so this is going to be a portrait game. And once it actually loads, there we are. Excellent. It's fun to look. We're actually looking at a screen that has it backwards here, so it's a little tricky to look at.
It's a little tricky, yeah.
So Co and I both played this game quite a lot, and some basic things that it gets wrong and right. So one of the things that it gets wrong is that's what happens when you hit the back key.
Right.
Anywhere within the game.
Yeah, let me just say that was a little annoying because I always accidentally hit the back key all the time. It's actually pretty obnoxious how many times. And every time I try to solve it, I'm like, wait, no progress saved. It's okay.
Yeah, so immediately loses all progress, immediately exits the game. And this is actually the default behavior of an Android activity. But unfortunately, when you have a game where you're having multiple different interstitials that are going on, we have a title screen, we have a level select screen, then we have the game itself. Just exiting doesn't really help, and also losing all state could be very, very frustrating if you're in the middle of one of these levels. And here is an example word push level. And it's actually, the game is super, super clever. One thing that's also interesting about this game for me is that there is a large sense of complete randomness to the game, as is how close these blocks are to each other. So the goal in this particular level, by the way, is to build one word using the blue blocks, and they must be used together.
Actually, it's using the orange blocks, and so the blue blocks actually gives you additional mana, but to complete a level, you actually need to make a word with the orange box.
I see. Okay, in that case. And if you use the two, but anyway, the point is if you use the blue blocks, they actually have to be used together. And so that does make things kind of tricky. So, okay. So you can see I played this game a lot.
Clearly, it's okay. Yeah, exactly. It's okay. All word games are almost the same to us at this point. But
and you can move the other letters out of the way in different directions by selecting top, left, right, or bottom here. And it has a nice little animation. One of the things that's a little bit unclear is that if you don't watch the video how to play intro that is built into the game, some of these things may elude you in terms of the controls, and it still is a little bit confusing. as to what top, left, right, and bottom mean in terms of push direction. I think it's one of the things that could be made a lot clearer in the game itself. Perhaps a direction indicator, I think, rather an arrow on the board or something showing you the way the letters are going to move. And when we say direction indicator, it's really what happens when you move things out of the way. So now we are at top direction.
Right. If he creates a word.
Yeah.
It's English. It's okay.
I know. I put Dane, but it didn't like Dane. It just. Okay. Let's try tan. Okay. You see now top moves the letters from the top
down.
in.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. That's again. It's not necessarily. It doesn't mean that that's how this explains here. So if it explains we move to the right here. It's going to move letters in from the right. So that's just. Once
and then it's going to lift stuff from the bottom. So yeah, once you figure it out, and a lot of it is I actually didn't even know that existed until level 5 or 6, and so, or at least really made full attention of that. So I think a lot of it is definitely, I mean, if you're a user like me who ignores YouTube videos on the Google Play Market, you may want to make that more clear when you start setting up the game and introducing the game to your users.
Yeah, and the tutorial is nicely integrated into the game in the sense that the YouTube video is a link from the main page of the game. But here, and so the good news, at least if you're
gotta look at the camera, dude. So
when I'm operating the device, I unfortunately have to either look at one or the other, and I can't operate this game in backwards mode.
That's where it's supposed to be.
So yeah, the problem is also moving this is challenging. All right, so but anyways, when you're actually operating the game, you can go back using the into the game by actually hitting the home key and going back. Ooh, that's not fortunate. I was going to try to demonstrate something else. But anyways, the real key thing here is just navigating within the game using the back button. That just needs to be fixed. There's a lot of other subtle details that I think could be cleaned up to make the game just that much better. The YouTube video says YouTube gameplay demo. Here is actually what there's a link, which doesn't really tell you, by the way, you really should watch this to figure out the game. So that's word push. Now I wanted to talk about, before we get into our next word game, one of the things that was nominated was 15 Puzzle X, which is the first game done by this developer. And this is another game that does a whole bunch of things that are a little bit unfortunate, but there are a lot of kind of newbie Android experience things. And so what's nice about the game is that it has really, really wonderfully rendered tiles. And for which the developer actually went and used the fantastic open source rendering package to use. But the problem with this game is actually a problem of save state. So I'll show you the most obvious problem here. So you go here. I'm going to select this tile. This tile is only available in 4x4, and I can select wood, marble, or plastic for the backgrounds, and I hit play. And now there's a couple of problems we get into the screen here. One is that hitting the back key actually exits the game once again. So that's problematic. I'm going to go back. Now it's nice thing you see it's actually remembered the tile that I used, but you notice that it didn't actually remove these other ones again. So here's the problem. If I go back to this screen, I can now select 6x6 tiles here. And if I actually hit play, you end up with that. So, so there were a lot of just sort of bugs. But the other problem is that this key here looks like restart, and actually, which would be really nice if it does that, but actually what it does, it also takes you back to the main menu. Other problems this game has, and I'm going to go back to the main menu here to get to a non-corrupt looking screen, is that this particular view here sort of feels like an intro to the game, but in fact it is all in the same activity, and because of that, hitting the back key quits out of both. The other thing that the game does though, which is pretty unusual, is if you actually hit and go back to the home screen. And then try to go back into the game, you'll see that the game actually has now changed its state. And so any exit from the game at all, however it's interrupted, changes the state. So this is something you should, it's definitely worth fixing. So first of all, we have an on-screen indicator that sort of does what a back key would do, but actually doesn't. And then we have this kind of immediate kill behavior on the back key.
And one other thing, at least for me, it actually took me forever to figure out how to actually move the tiles, because in games like this, you're always used to like gesture-based stuff, where it's like, oh, I've got to slide the tile. Well, apparently, you can't really slide the tile. You actually need to press the actually side, like just basically push the side and push it in the direction it moves. So it's kind of weird because it took me a while to figure that out. But definitely like making sure that your users kind of know how to, at least understanding how the game is based, and if they play these games before, make sure whatever gestures or UI that you put in, make sure it matches what they think.
This would be a great time to use the gesture detector that's built into the Android framework. You can actually detect that kind of gesture, which would be a paging gesture. We actually call it a I forgot the name of it. But anyway, you can actually detect this kind of sliding gesture where you'd want to slide the entire row. The other thing that it would that I think would really help this game out is actually a way of demonstrating what the solution is. Because
hang on, you guys. Sorry, I just need to break in for 1 second.
Yes.
Engineer Daniel asks, "What game are you reviewing now?"
That is a good question. We are actually looking at 15 Puzzle X.
Hey, wait a second. I thought we looked at this and it was kind of like a lot more awesome looking. What happened?
I switched the tile
to plastic mode.
Oh.
So we can select wood.
I liked wood better.
Yeah, wood looks
wood looks really cool.
Yeah.
Except for one thing. And it's like
the use of Comic Sans.
Comic Sans?
Oh, and by the way, Ko, I'm not over to your right. I'm underneath you.
You're underneath me.
Hey, Ko. How's he going, Ko? Yeah.
Pretty good. What's up?
Nice.
All right, whatever.
I actually think you're underneath
Here's a
both
story.
Right.
All right.
So,
What's up with Comic Sans?
yeah, exactly.
Comic Sans.
I wish that Comic Sans was the largest problem this game had.
You know what's going to happen though? Now that we've mentioned Comic Sans, is a ton of people are going to email us and say, "Hey, that's not Comic Sans. That's such and such," which happens to be a typeface that looks just like Comic Sans. You know what? Not fooling anybody.
So definitely some gestures. I also think knowing what the solution is, it's not clear that the numbers actually should be going across or if they should be going up and down, and at whether one should be, where one should be.
Right.
So I think that would also be very, very useful to actually show the solution. But that's kind of a minor nitpick. I think most people understand whether it's going to be.
Most people are going to understand what a number puzzle is, or at least
puzzle is. But sometimes you do want to solve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe both solutions are actually acceptable. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's true.
I never actually got to the point of actually solving this. But I'm not a huge fan of the number puzzle, but a really great first effort. And again, beautifully rendered tiles and again, just some things to think about. The biggest one I think really is state, and these controls here. In order to disable them when you're actually going back here, you need to actually go through and run through that same disable logic because you really don't want users to get to this screen accidentally.
Yeah. It'd also be nice to see a splash screen of what I'm playing too, but maybe that's another thing.
I actually don't think it needs a splash screen, but I do think it'd be nice if it were included. There's no particular reason why a game like this needs to go full screen.
Right.
And I would much rather see the time and my notifications and all that kind of thing when I'm playing a game that doesn't need to be completely immersive. I think actually this game actually is a game that is damaged by immersivity rather than benefiting by it.
I could see that. Yep.
So.
All right, cool. Next game?
Next game. All right.
What are we doing next?
Talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk. This game actually, I had a lot of compatibility problems with on this device.
Word Ruggle. And you can probably see it's kind of not wanting to turn on his transformer, but
yeah, one of the things that's interesting about this game is that it actually goes and immediately creates a profile account.
Using my email.
Yeah, using your
Thanks,
email.
everyone, for asking.
No, it doesn't. It is plugged in.
It's plugged in. It's
just,
flashing.
It's flashing. So this is Word Ruggle. So we should change 15 Puzzle X and go to Word Ruggle.
Word Ruggle.
We're gonna have a really hard time actually showing you any gameplay here on this device.
I'm sorry, everyone.
It does. Seem
We're
to
not
be
trying
an
to give
issue.
you seizures.
It does seem to
Promise.
be an issue with the transformer prime.
Try jiggling the cable
on the Nexus 7.
Let's switch to the camera.
Yeah, you can switch the cameras. You can see what's actually doing here.
Yeah, that's right. Producer Daniel asked, "Did you jiggle it?"
And the answer is yes.
See, no, we're not kidding.
Yeah, this happens whether or not HDMI is on, by the way. So yeah.
Hey Dan, I think you might want to move your head a little bit too.
Oh yeah, I can move my head. There we are.
Oh,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, you can see. It doesn't really. That's what's going on here. So unfortunately, we can't really look at the gameplay of this, but I'll let Ko talk about it a little bit.
Why don't you go ahead and just put the Nexus 7 up there? And I think this seems to be working all right.
Next 7. Should I turn? Be like, hey. Right here?
Yeah,
Stay there.
There we are, Nexus 7
Okay.
cam. All right, so
Next 7 cam.
So that's, to me, I don't know whether that's a layout issue because I haven't tried it on other tablet devices other than Nexus 7, but it could be. But let's.
Do I need to like read?
No, you're fine
That's
here.
fine.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of it's kind of like a boggle game. So you just tend from the 4x4 set, you need to swipe as many words as you possibly can, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's all this,
and
but
it's a real-time game shared with everyone else. That's
Yep.
the kind of cool. It's very, very similar to Word Hero, which we've looked at on the show before. I like the layout actually. It looks really, really nice.
apparently
The only thing I would say about it is that it does feel a little bit borrowed from another platform in terms of look, with all of the roundedness and all of the excessive use of gradients and stuff like that.
By the way, viewers at home, would you not all agree that Dan's hair is rich and luxurious, almost rock star-like in its silky splendor?
I'm kind of jealous. It's a lot of volume. I wish I had that much volume.
Right.
So
Also, thank God Dan isn't leaning slightly to his left, because then his head would be totally out of shot, and it would ruin it for the rest of us.
thank you, Ian. Always good to have that. That's why Ian's producing the show here, so that he can drink more and make comments like
Right.
that. So here we are. So basically, so now we're actually competing against the entire world, and there's lots of good
There's
stuff.
a lot of good stuff. Yep.
So the game is fun. I love this kind of random competition kind of game. I was a real huge fan of Word Hero. Basically, I want to see them do some nice tablet layouts. I think it'd be very, very cool to see the words that you're actually guessing in larger form, side by side with a game board. If you're on a tablet layout, again, there's just a lot more that can be done here.
People need to see, but there you go.
There we go. Now it's total rock star.
Right.
Thanks to my makeover expert over there on the right. So, anyways, I don't know much more to say about this. Because this is a real-time game, this is actually one of those really is actually a good game for actually putting up a dialogue. It's very, very rare that I would actually suggest putting up a dialogue like this, but this is real time, so actually exiting the game does kind of ruin your ability to play that particular round. So it makes sense, and it does take you back here to the level screen, and then that takes you out. So that's all good navigation. The rest of the games will actually work on the Transformer Prime.
Yes,
but
we promise. Sorry.
We promise, yeah. But that particular game, we did actually have to go through some additional effort to get to work. And again, being able to test on one tablet is always a good thing. It's kind of unusual because it looks like that game is using the framework, so it's kind of a strange thing to see a game that's having trouble that is using the framework. All right, we're going in order here. So the next game is Stack-a-Ball.
Okay, so we switch cams. This is how this one actually works. So
yeah, exactly. We can actually switch views, and we're now in a portrait game. And in Stack-a-Ball, the goal is to make the balls stack to match the shadows that you see there at the bottom of the level.
It's kind of like reverse Tetris. So the object is to stack the balls as many as you can without actually having 3 balls connecting at any time. And so you're supposed to keep stacking until you run out of balls.
Now this is going to be really unfun on my tablet because it does take advantage of accelerometer here. So usually when I rotate this thing, we'll lose HDMI. We'll try to be really careful here. Ian likes to point out how dorky this looks when I'm actually using the keyboard with an accelerometer game. It really does. But on the other hand, I tend to not lose HDMI quite as often. You do have to push tap the screen to release the balls, and so part of the challenge is actually an arcade-like challenge. And it's kind of unfortunately random also. So you see, if those 3 balls touch, they get destroyed. But since the balls come in apparently random colors, the challenge is also somewhat random, which is a little unfortunate.
Well, the one big thing I actually have a problem is I never know when I'm actually done, and so because it says just keep going until there's no more balls. But it'd be nice for the ball counter to be the reverse count, not how many balls I have going down the thing, and it's also pretty slow too. I mean, for an arcade game that's kind of like all about falling. I mean, the cool thing about Tetris is that, I mean, or any game, like building block game, is that it speeds up, right? And here you really can't control the speed of the ball, which is a little strange.
Yeah,
but
the other thing is, I really do want to be able to swipe down the balls and
Right.
say, it's done. But the other thing is, if you just end up getting a whole bunch of blue balls like these in a row in this distribution, you do end up with this kind of unfortunate situation of the balls just all destroy each other.
right.
So I'm not really sure what to do about that. Now the game is, again, the goal is to stack up the balls so they do match this the kind of
The
ball
shadow.
shadows. That's going to be really hard for me because I'm going to actually have to destroy some blue balls here.
Yeah, because he's kind of run out. No, but you can keep stacking on the left. You can just create a third one.
But the goal is to actually make them match. So that's the challenge here.
Wait a second. I totally don't understand. The goal is to make them match, but you also need to get them higher.
Yeah,
and
I
if you
don't think
match
so. I
three,
think
you're gonna-
I think we don't want
I
them
thought
to
the
match.
goal was to not make them match.
The goal is not
is
made
to
to
make,
match.
is to make the balls match the shadows.
Right. But then you're not supposed. But if you match 3 of the same balls, then they're going to destroy everything, right?
Right. So so the key thing is we want to make the balls match the shadow, but we also don't want to go above the shadow. If we if we fit everything into then we have to fit all the balls into the shadow area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what.
Oh, so what you're saying is if you were to stack it, so you've got 2 rows right now. If you were to stack it 3 high, that's no good.
Yes, that's correct. I need to get exactly match the puzzle there.
Right.
Whoa.
And because the ball distribution seems to be pretty random, it can be kind of a random difficulty. I think one of the challenges with building a game like this
Right.
is getting the difficulty consistent. And the 2
Yeah.
games that I think that struggle with randomness are this game and Word Push. Both of them really get you very different levels of challenge depending on which
Right.
random numbers you get. So this game actually does have physics though, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you'll see that if there's actually real physics going on when the balls fall, which sometimes is helpful and sometimes is not.
Yeah, I think they use Box 2D. So
Probably, yeah. Did they say that? I didn't.
Yep, they said that in the about notes if you look carefully enough.
So,
So,
I just did complete the beginner level there, as you see, which is cool.
but also,
Nice
yeah, it
little
takes a while.
animation.
So,
Yeah, so we've now spent. But things to note about this game sort of uses Android things. So if you click, the back key once again we just exit the game immediately. This game is just again not modifying the standard activity behavior, and it does a lot of things in the same activity. So select level is also done in the activity, hitting the back key, quits. However, they do push up another activity for when they are doing the high scores, when they're doing the help. So you see that's another activity, how hitting the back key does the right thing, takes you back here to where we were. So this is another game that's navigationally challenged. So just think, again, it just doesn't make sense. If I hit select level, it feels like the back key should bring me back to there. And also it sort of forces me in this case to actually select something.
right.
Which is, like, what do I do if I don't want to select something? Well, you select the same thing. So again, I think from an Android perspective, it doesn't make sense. Putting an OK at the bottom here, the high scores, is not necessary. It's not a dialogue.
Right.
It doesn't look like one to the user, so it's not needed. What we really do need is the back key not to just quit out of the game at this point. So that's all I wanted to say about Stackable. We have three games that we really did love here. Start off with Rope Rescue.
Rope Rescue.
So Rope Rescue to our helpful technical director here.
Yeah, so Rope Rescue, and so this is actually really cool because if you look at it, I mean, even from the splash screen, you can automatically start controlling the character, which I think is a great way to kind of integrate and all that. But for one thing is, we've seen all these games like Cut the Rope or all this stuff. You're like, oh, let's cut something, or oh, let's destroy something. Well, this one's actually really interesting. You basically take rope, and you figure out once we get past the oh no, what am I supposed to do? So the object of the game is you're supposed to take your rope and free and hook up on all the wheels, and then unlock your baby birds that have now been captured. So it's what's really cool. There's different elements. They'll gradually. What's great is that they take you. It's a great way of setting up the levels. It tells you, okay, first this is what you need to do to unlock the bird cage. Here's some of the hazards you need to like kind of watch out for. So in this case, it's a knife. Knife cuts rope. You don't want that to happen. It's kind of sad. So there's some other stuff too, like fire. Fire burns everything. Probably bad for you, et cetera, et cetera.
I think the interesting thing about this game is they're showing you here how we can avoid the knife. So you do have to touch every single one of the loops, but you can loop around them like that. And what's fun about this game is it is a 2D game, but it's using in as far as the user's input and control of it is, but it isn't done in 3D space with 3D birds and some really nice looking graphics. And they actually get a little bit of benefit from that too. The backgrounds are fuzzy and a little blurry because they're a little lower resolution than this device. But the actual game looks very, very high resolution, and the text looks very high resolution. So, for an example,
Do you think it's actually that they're blurry because of the device, or do you think it's an intentional depth of field effect?
I don't think it's intentional, but I think it works very well for them. That was my feeling. Maybe I could be wrong there, but it felt like it was a graphic. So in this case, there's actually a shorter path based upon when we. And so there's kind of two interesting things about this. It looks like we actually.
I can't get the shorter path.
Right. So there's.
We have to wait. Oh, I know. We have to wait till they.
You have to wait until they get into the right place. So there's actually. That I believe is the shortest path. Again, the game is pretty cool. It's honestly there aren't a lot of issues with this game in terms of technical issues. I was really impressed with it. I was there. Yeah. It's great to see a game here that's pretty much ready to go.
Yeah. So there's another cool thing about this game is that if you go back to the menu and then you can actually see the bird sanctuary on below right, and you can see all the little birds that you've actually saved, including hopefully the butterflies. The one nice to have I'd like about this is that this would be pretty cool as a live wallpaper just to track your progress. So if there's any way to do that, that's just kind of nice to have. So
yeah, I think that would actually take this game over the top.
Right.
Definitely to have the bird sanctuary as your live wallpaper. I think it'd be really cool. It'd be fun to do some more interactions with the birds too. You could feed the birds, you could do whatever.
Right.
But I think that overall again this game is just very well done. Ooh, back key doesn't work out of the bird sanctuary though.
Yes.
Unfortunate,
but you can. There's the back key in the actual thing, but but you
this
don't probably need the
on-screen
on-screen.
Back is generally bad. Also, we see on-screen back here. So in general, we don't on-screen back is not something that Android users are accustomed to using across all of their games and apps. So we would rather have no on-screen back control instead just back key support like that. But other than that screen, the back key support looks really, really good.
Right.
Navigation's important in all of these things.
Good job, guys.
Awesome. Another game that we really liked was
Blast Moki 2.
Before you get into iBlast Moki 2, though, folks, I just want to take a quick beer score.
Beer score.
How many of you? Yeah. Have you even gotten past the neck of your beer, Daniel?
I haven't even started drinking yet.
No,
he
you
hasn't
haven't.
even started drinking. At least
Take
I've gotten
a swig.
past
What do you
the
think?
neck of my beer.
What do you
Come
think?
on. Look, see.
I know.
So this is the thing. When I host this show, I'm drinking all the time. What's different? What makes you guys so much? I don't want to say better, but different.
I'm a girl.
Oh, come on. Wait a second. Oh, I seem to recall that you are the girl who asked for the beers in bottles as opposed to, poured in glasses or something like that.
I like enjoying my beer. Come on now.
Exactly.
So.
All right, just checking. What do you think, though?
I think it's actually...
Seriously.
Yeah, I like it. No, I think
just smell it. Just sort of wave it past.
I like the smell. I like raspberry. It's very interesting.
On the nose, there's a little raspberry. But on the palate, it's like super malty.
Yeah. I'm really happy. It really is a subtle raspberry flavor, but it's not overpowering. It adds a lot to the complexity. Of the beer.
Right. Yeah. I just had to check because honestly, this has become one of my favorite beers. I really, really like it. Buying it today was, it was hard to actually share. I wanted to see if things were going all right.
It was awesome. Yeah, Ian always comes through at all the beers.
There you go.
Make sure that we enjoy our Fridays. So.
Absolutely. He comes through in a lot of ways, actually.
There you go.
But with beer is definitely one of them. So one of the things...
And by the way, I'm sorry, while I have the floor, I do want to shout out to our friend Marcus Gaussenbauer in Austria. Hope you're enjoying an awesome beer yourself, sir. He's the one who said... glass of beer and a Friday review. What else do you need on a Friday night?
Exactly. And,
Rock on,
like it.
my friend.
It really depends on how much beer, because I have found this show goes down well with a lot of beer.
Mm-hmm.
So so the one thing you'll see here right at the beginning of
Eyeglass Smoky, yes.
Yeah,
So
is play, create, and share as your function. Wow. Just
I mean,
right
even
off
just
the
going
bat.
back, just restart the game. I think this is like probably one of the best intro screens I've seen for a game. Besides, okay, so after the title. I mean, so, unfortunately, there's no audio unless they can hear audio.
Yeah, no,
but
we can't do
but
audio.
the fact that there's Godzilla Lab, I mean, you just have to start the game. It's pretty amazing. So.
But I love the design of the
Mm-hmm.
screen. You know, it feels really good. There's not lots of icons cluttering things everywhere, and you've got 3 huge functions: play, create, and share. And first of all, let me just say that having a level creator built into your game
is incredible.
Which is incredible. And there is open fame.
Right, there's open fame.
You know, and
We'll say no thank you for now, or enable.
I'll enable.
All right.
So that's cool. But the fact that you can actually go online, look at levels, you can actually go and create your own levels in the game is really, really awesome functionality.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so this gives the game, you know, just an enormous long-term playability. And I actually kind of wonder whether they used this at all to build levels actually within the game, because it is pretty highly functional.
Although one thing I do wish, there's a back screen. It's like kind of like back, redo. Whoa. Anyway, I thought the level creator was really cute.
Absolutely. There's really a lot you can do with it. So you can, so you know, these are all elements you'll see in the game, but because I thought this was such a beautiful and unique feature, I wanted to at least kind of call it out. You know, really, really great.
Couldn't even play it, even though.
Kind of physics puzzler.
Sorry.
This kind of physics puzzler that you can actually you know, create your own stuff with. And I think, you know, a lot of times one of the complaints that people have talked about in this generation of computing is that there isn't enough content creation. These are all content consumption devices, but it's great to see a game that actually allows people to do user generated.
It's a really nice surprise too. Like, I didn't even know this content creator existed until I actually looked at it. So.
Exactly.
But let's go back to the actual game, like going to the play. So it's an arcade level, kind of like another physics-based puzzler, but it's actually pretty cool. And so, I mean, we'll play through the first level, but a lot of it is just like you have these little things. I mean, I'm a sucker for cute puzzler games, but what's really cool is you basically use bombs, and what you're supposed to do is take the little creatures and kind of use the bombs strategically so that you can put them in this red portal.
And one of the things I really like is that they make use of simple graphics for their tutorial. So there's no text in the tutorial. It makes it really, really easy for the game developer in terms of actually internationalizing this game. I don't think you certainly don't need to know English in order to play this game, which is great. And it's also very, very straightforward. Right. So, I mean, really just beautiful job done there.
Yeah. And great job, and also on the audio as well. I think for one thing is a lot of mobile games don't really take advantage. I'm actually really sad you guys can't even hear some of the audio for this game, but this game in particular has some great music, great sound effects, and like even just the transitions, like simple transitions as going between levels and all that stuff. You can really tell that the devs put a lot of effort into this.
The interface is also really, really well thought out. And, you know, I think, you know, again, you know, you can, so you can closer to make him fly away. Okay, there's a little bit of English, but not a lot.
Right.
And again, you can see that his level there is controlled by how I actually move this. And this is a really nice interface. And then once again, he's all set. So now we're going to blow these up, and boom. We can actually also change the timing, which gets more important as we get farther and farther into the game. So, you know, the only real technical feedback I had for this team was that the game does actually restart the music when you pause and unpause. And so if you're in the middle of the song, it starts you back over at the beginning, which is a little bit unfortunate because you don't even realize the sound is playing at the beginning of the music because it's very, very quiet, which is nice, and I can see how that would be useful, but it's also something that was a little bit jarring when I was actually in the middle of playing it. But you know, that's a really minor issue. I mean, honestly, I did not find anything significantly wrong with this game, and this game is absolutely ready. In fact, it may even be featured now. It's
it may be ready to be featured now. But I think what's really cool is like variety of gameplay, different uses of bombs, and then also different uses of time too. I mean, a lot of it. I mean, it's definitely very well thought out. The one thing that I do have a little bit of problems with is that I think it requires you to 3-star in every level before you move to the next world. So, I mean, it's great to add that challenge.
Well, the other thing here, which is interesting, you notice how this stuff is cut off at the top.
Right.
So this is because we're on HDMI. So if I pull out HDMI here, could we switch to the other view? Daniel, the other. So we'll switch over to the other view here. I'll pull out HDMI. One thing you can't actually see here is that actually it isn't really cut off.
Yeah.
So this means they're actually not responding. Oh, we're getting a little audio. I should turn that
Right.
off.
Maybe just turn it. There it is, right there. Yep.
There we are. Sorry. But you see here that it's not cut off anymore. So we're not responding quite correctly to the screen size changes that are happening when the HDMI cable is in.
Right.
So that's causing the top of the screen to get cut off. And you can see here that how many stars I'm currently working on and how many levels how many points I've gotten across the levels. So that was my only comment with the game, was it didn't quite handle this ratio on this device.
That's kind of sad, but anyway.
Yeah, 3 level to unlock the bonus world. That being said, the game is filled with amazing rich content, and we really loved it here.
Yep.
So great job, guys. And there's a lot, there's bombs that do all sorts of different things. There are bombs that...
It's glue bombs, where you can stick the Mokies. There's the slick bombs. What else is there?
Yeah.
It's like you use the bombs to take people off the glue. It's really very clever, well done. And I didn't even get to the second world because it takes me 3 stars on every level, which I'm not there yet. So
one of the things that's very, very cool is you can also apply the bomb effects to characters. So one of the cool levels, I think
it was I think it was the boulder level, right?
Yeah.
I think it was this level.
Is that level?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the levels you actually have to solve. You can go back to this. We're in this view here. So one of the levels you actually have to solve by actually applying the glue to the bomb itself. So you can see the bomb is there.
Right.
And I'm going to now apply the glue to the bomb, and boom.
Now it's covered in green.
The bomb is covered in glue,
and
so
it's
he will
sticking up. Oh no!
up.
Usually pick up all 3, but he only picked up 1 this time. That's okay.
But I just didn't have I didn't have him quite centered well enough. He does have to be centered right in the middle of him. But from a as an example of
Okay. Oh wait, there it is. There he goes.
So again,
all 3.
Lots of really clever puzzles in this game, and so yes, definite thumbs up. And then on top of that, with the level creation and the sharing, it's it really does have a lot going on.
And the only question I have to devs: when are you coming with plushies? I would totally buy your plushies.
Yeah, and
so
again, on-screen back key in general, we don't like here. I'd rather not see that, but it isn't everywhere in the game. Most of the time, it doesn't have it. That would be my only other comment for things to change. So,
cool. Overall, great job.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
All
Moving
right.
on.
So those are the 6 that we plan to look at. But we do have one bonus game here,
bonus round,
which is Puppy's Plaything. Now, one of the problems with Puppy's Plaything is that it actually takes an incredibly long
time to load.
And this isn't so bad here at the beginning. Although again, having some sort of animated progress is a really, really nice thing to have. Now,
I'm sorry, I just have to ask because I looked at this screen. Is the name of this company Smutworks?
Smuttelwerk.
Smuttelwerk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll see, we're getting an A&R here. There's lots of stuff here that are going on. Some of this is in, I think, the Playphone middleware, and some of this is actually in the game. It takes a long time, by the way, for it to actually get to where I can click on these things. So there's click rename your dog here, and you can see I'm
rename
I'm
dog.
tapping the screen right now, and it took me forever to get through this the first time I played this. So there's just a lot of places in which they have to look at threading and how they're actually handling this. Now, I actually played this on my Nexus and did not play it on the Transformer Prime.
But even on my Nexus, there's definitely some performance. Like sometimes when you hit back and exit out of the game, and then when you want to try and resume, it takes like 10 seconds to load.
So I'll show you the real issue is this. Okay, I hit go to my lock screen. I've now locked the device. I unlocked the device. Well, now of course that worked just fine because that's my. Let's go to the home screen, and I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna go back into the Playhouse, and you'll see that this is what you get. Now you might think your device has crashed at this point.
Right. I'm like, what happened?
What is going on here? Is the game actually going to recover? Am I ever going to see the title screen ever again? Now, sometimes it actually does crash.
Right.
Sometimes it actually manages to recover from the state. It looks like we
Yeah, and it looks like we got maybe a crash.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So this game also, out of the 3 high-end games, is the only one that actually it does not use and target SDK level 11 or above. So we are seeing the compatibility menus showing up here, which is unfortunate. But we aren't seeing a zoom control. So at least it's doing
right.
Some of the work right there. And now it's just totally lost. It's having a lot of trouble on
right.
the device. So yeah, in fact, there were some comments about various problems here. But you can see we'll actually go into the game. You can see it's after spending all of this work on a game, you really want to see the game do well. And so having these little glitches hold up the game is unfortunate. And the game is fun. It is a sliding game done in 3D, and you get the idea of how these kinds of games work.
Right.
So that so the puzzler is that I can choose the direction that the dog is going to go in, and the goal is to not only get to the ball, but to get all of the bones. So in this case, moving across here. And it's nice. It's got a light source, which is fun. A lot of games don't use dynamic lighting, so it's having fun with its single dynamic light. And that's cool. And what I really it really comes down to right now is polish on the platform,
right?
And getting to that next level. It also looks like there may be some issues with the playphone middleware itself, and again, there's also actually some arcadey elements to this, and I just did this wrong. That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm gonna get a bad score, but.
It's okay. We're not all perfect. It's fine.
I know. See, I should have known this already. But as you can see, it is definitely fun. It's actually a very simple game with very, very complex presentation and a very nice presentation. And so 1 star.
1 star. It's okay. You completed the level.
I
That's
did.
a lot of fun.
I got all the bonuses. So here's where it gets arcadey, where you actually have to time now this movement so you don't hit the bat.
Right.
But other than that, this level is like pretty much all of the other levels in the game.
Yeah, this is the one where I was trying to figure out how to get to the bone. It's okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I actually see how to do that, but all right. Let's. In any case, the game is fun, and really it's these little polished details. It's very, very important though that if you're going to have a game, especially this is a very high-end device.
Right.
This is a Tegra 3 device. It's got a gig of RAM on it. If you're going to reload all of the textures and all of the geometry and all of the shaders, after a pause, which you may have to do anytime, you really do need to have some progress indicator to let people know that their device hasn't crashed, because the experience of exiting the game, going back into the game. Oh, interesting. Now that way it works. It works fine from there. It's only if you're. Oh, I guess if it gets swapped out, then that's when it gets into trouble.
Yep.
So anyways, that was this game. That was once again Puppy's Plaything, and we saw it was not actually in the top 6, but it looked intriguing, and the presentation
puppies are great.
I recall that I actually made you guys.
Maybe, but.
Yeah, I think I made you guys review this. I'm like, oh, dude, we should totally look at this on the strength of the video alone. And it was really because of puppies.
Puppies, yeah. Puppies. I mean, I probably would like to seen kittens, but it's okay.
I don't know what your thing is with kittens. What do you
have
against
puppies? I like both
puppies?
puppies and kittens, but kittens are
wait.
too.
We've got the wrong, yeah. I don't know what you have against puppies, Co. What the hell is your problem, Co?
I have nothing against puppies. I like kittens, though, too.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, thanks.
Such a hater. Dude, cats are where it is on the internet, man. Who watches? I mean, everyone watches cat videos.
Exactly.
That's true. I bet there's no kitten that looks as cute on ice as that puppy does, though. Look at him sliding around. He's got his legs all
it's a
splayed
puppy,
out.
first of all, not a kitten. But
Actually, I think the main problem with the cat
puppy.
versus this game is the cat would just be angry. He'd be like,
right, yeah.
On the ice.
Well, the
Like,
cats
screw you
probably
guys,
also have claws, too, so it probably wouldn't work as well on ice versus
Actually,
the
cats
puppy.
are kind of evil, don't you think?
I don't know. Cats are pretty independent. I don't know.
Yeah, I just know my cat would be furiously pissed off if it were sliding off the ice.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, Puppies FTW.
Mhm. I could be kittens though. Kittens are looking kind
Right.
of cute and wobbly on the ice. Yeah. All right.
Anyways, that's all we have for today, right?
That is all we have for today. So we're going to be reviewing.
What are we doing next week?
That is a good question.
Mhm.
Let's see.
So
We're actually doing NFL football.
Oh, it's
that's
sports.
right.
Yeah.
Specifically NFL football.
NFL football, that's too bad. I mean,
Yeah,
soccer
they're-
is a much bigger sport, or I should say football, the real football. But
No.
why?
So it is. We are getting to the start of.
Football season.
Mhm.
So we do have a series here of games. We actually are probably not going to have quite as many NFL football
Right.
games, but again, it doesn't have to be a pure football game. It could be a kick simulation. So example, there are games that are just kick a ball through the.
A field goal. It could be a field goal game. It could be fantasy football, football manager. I mean,
Absolutely. There's
this
a
is
lot.
probably going to be my week, but unfortunately, I'm
Yeah.
going to be in PAX. So,
No, I think that's wonderful. So Co is going to be at PAX,
Yes.
and we are super excited. She is going to be reporting from PAX live.
Mhm.
She's
I don't
going
know
to be
about
using
live,
modern
but
technology.
by modern you mean my phone.
Yeah,
but
I believe
That's
that
right.
She's going to be taking
Wait, I'm
videos
sorry. Is your
and
phone not an
interviews.
Android phone? Isn't
Yeah, my
that
phone is an
modern,
Android
even
phone.
postmodern
See?
technology?
Galaxy Nexus,
Wouldn't you
okay.
say that you're living in the future with your Nexus S, Co?
I'm always living in. It's not a Nexus
It's a
S. It's a Galaxy
Galaxy
Nexus,
Nexus,
dude.
Whatever, man.
Nexus
No
S
wonder.
is like
All right,
so
all right,
last
sure.
year.
I
Come
know.
on.
Actually, you know what, Co? We're going to give you an even newer phone for PAX.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Wait, a new
so
a new
if
Galaxy
any of
Nexus?
you are attending PAX next week, definitely try to find me. I'll probably be wandering the Indie Mega booth or somewhere around there. So if you have a game to show me, be sure to try to find me. I'll definitely give you a couple of
Co,
minutes
you
to
didn't
look
really
at.
introduce yourself. What do you do for Google?
What do I do for Google?
Besides review games.
besides review
and
games?
Look tan.
I work with game developers to kind of bring their games to Google Play, and all Google platforms, and so maybe a big deal, maybe. Not probably not. I'm
be.
not that big of a deal, but
Co is a really big deal. Yeah, for all of those of you who thought I was a big deal, or Dan was a big deal.
I don't think anyone actually thought.
Now,
I was
actually,
no,
no, actually, there were some
Mhm.
people who thought you were a big. Those in the know knew that you were a big deal. You
Right.
were the power behind the Google Play throne. But now, Co has usurped your position.
That's true,
And mine.
actually.
mostly because
Yeah.
I fulfill a demographic that's kind of weird and rare, but
Wait,
You mean-
what,
right.
What
It's like,
demographic is that?
well,
Okay,
I'm
explain.
bringing diversity to the show now. I mean,
That's
before
true.
it was two Caucasian males.
Hey, we had
Hey!
Daniel Fan here last
We really
Right.
weekend
prefer
to
the
deal with Asian
we really
community.
prefer the word white.
White?
actually,
Okay.
yeah. We're,
I was
we're
trying
like
to be
two
politically correct.
White guys. Actually, we're
But-
two old white guys. if
Old
that's
white
all
guys,
right.
yeah, absolutely.
Old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think you were that old.
Oh hell yeah! Did you see my picture in the before we replaced it with that awesome picture of you? Yeah, my hair had like so much gray in it, like more gray than normal. Daniel Pham really did an excellent
Photoshop
job
work
of
there.
retouching.
That was
Good. I blame the lighting personally.
Thanks, guys.
So, anyways, we are wrapping up, but definitely, so anything again. We did say NFL football, not because it has to be licensed by the NFL, but what we're talking about is American,
Yeah.
American
Simply-
football
Actually,
games.
I seem to recall that the person who said NFL football was actually Reto when we asked how will we distinguish it from quote unquote real football. No, actually, Reto.
Which country
Reto,
did?
Reto
It sounded
doesn't
like
know.
you was Scottish there.
Right,
Real
that's
football.
real
Yeah,
football.
right.
Yeah, that was totally
we
Glaswegian.
That's what we play with someone severed skull in
Right.
Scotland. That's not like Americans are pigskin, you know.
I do
I'm
hope
too
I
drunk
do
to do
hope I do
Australian.
hope we do cover real football games though, because I mean that's also starting up as
Do you
well.
mean
so.
soccer? Is soccer what you mean?
In,
by real
in
football?
America, it's soccer, but
Yeah.
in outside the U.S., it is football. Like,
And
correction.
the point is that next week is the start of the NFL season. So we were looking for, and actually we're doing this in the app review too. So yeah, fantasy football games, apps for tracking your favorite team, apps that involve kicking around really any ball that's not round but more of an oblong shape.
Yeah, even
Or even tackling games are fun too, man. If you can.
live wallpapers that are truly awesome around NFL football. Yeah, there's a lot of options out there. So also I will say I would note that soccer is actually a British term to describe what is football. That's how we got it. but then the Brits decided they didn't like the term anymore. So.
Ooh, kind of like
Oh.
roundabouts.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
all right.
So soccer is perfectly acceptable. It came from the UK, so therefore they must find it acceptable.
Right.
Must
Anything
be.
we say in a British accent must be believed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why? Because
Well, that's
actually, I have no idea. Why do you speak
Why?
a British accent
Why?
so often,
Why?
Dan?
No,
What?
it's actually, the
So-
reason people, because obviously that's what the announcers on those made-for-TV products are using. So if you,
That's true.
That's
Or
right.
the
this
BBC.
This is really an amazing tablet. This Nexus 7. You've got to see it right now. Look what you can do. You can use it as a tea tray. Watch this.
Oh my God.
There we are. Look at it. Transformer Prime. All the amazing uses this device has. You see?
What
It's just
kind
that
of
much more
cable
Yeah.
useful.
subscription and or
know,
drug
like-
stash do you have, Dan?
That's
Oh my
But I
God.
suppose
yeah.
Doctor Who is starting up soon. So
That's
yes,
right, exactly.
That's right. So, all right.
And so I've just offended all of the British and Australian, viewers of this show. So I wanted to apologize for my poor approximation of an accent from the British Isles.
That
There
is
we
the
are.
first time Dan has ever apologized for
I
his
know.
British
It's
accent.
like it's a
Even
new
though
one
it
for
has
me.
been deployed
What?
more than 100 times in the past
I
year.
know.
And yeah, that's true. But you started it.
Started it. Okay,
That's true.
now we're starting with who
Exactly.
started what.
That's right.
That's
Why
true.
am I in the middle of this? Okay.
Yeah, break this up,
Right.
Joe. Come on.
Oh, jeez. Well, anyway,
so enjoy NFL
thanks for your time, guys. Thank you to
Oh,
Daniel
look
Pham.
at it's Engineer Daniel! Woo!
So
Hopefully, I'll
you
see
guys
you
are
all in
going
Seattle
way
next
over.
week. Definitely say
It's
wave.
okay, man. We're
stop
not
me and say
paying for
hi.
this by the minute.
we started late. Also, remember that.
Right.
So,
We did start late. That's true.
So next week, coming from PAX in Seattle, we're gonna have Ko Kim. So definitely find her, say hello, and she's gonna be finding some awesome stuff for us.
Hopefully,
to talk about.
hopefully, I'm sure.
NFL football on both the app review and the game view. Go to the moderator page and nominate your favorite stuff. And I think that's pretty
With
much
that-
it. Enjoy. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend,
Yep.
all.
And you guys, thanks very much for everybody on the comment stream, especially Gabrielle, Martin, Marcus, and 1995.
All right.
Not really sure how to pronounce that name.
Okay. Okay.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot, you guys. We really appreciate it. See
Bye.
you next week.
See ya.